Hello friends, are you NRI and you used to sell your property in India? Then please watch this full video before you conclude your transaction. Welcome to EzMyTaxes, a dedicated channel for NRI. My name is SP Gupta, Chartered Accountant. There are a lot of confusions about tax implications for NRI who wish to sell their property in India. Many questions come to the mind of both buyer and seller about taxation aspect. Doubt mainly arise related to TDS rates, filing of TDS return, claiming tax refund, capital gain calculation, exemptions from tax, and remittance of fund abroad coming out of sale of property in India. In this video, I have analyzed various questions raised and tried presenting the same with examples for easy understanding. In this video, I am considering all type of sale of properties, be it residential, commercial, plot, land, except rural agricultural land, which is not taxable because it is not a capital assets as per the definitions of Income Tax Act. Whether NRIs have to pay tax on capital gain? Yes, the tax that is payable on gains depending on whether it's a short-term capital gain or long-term capital gain. When a property is sold after a period of 2 years from the date it was owned, there would be long-term capital gain. In case it is held 2 years or less, there would be short-term capital gain. If the property being sold is inherited property, the period shall be calculated from the date of purchase by the original owner and not when it is inherited or gifted. Let me show you the example of long-term capital gain. In this example, though the gift of property happens in 2019, but there would be long-term capital gain as period of holding will be calculated from the original date and not from the date of gift from father to son. Property is acquired by original owner in 2001 for rupees 15 lakhs and sold in April 2020 for 70 lakhs. The index cost of purchases comes to 45.15 lakhs and hence there would be net capital gain of 24.85 lakhs, which is a long-term capital gain. Now after applying the income tax applicable for this slab, we have got the total tax payable amount of rupees 5.16 lakhs. Let me show you another example of short-term capital gain. In this case, the property was acquired in 2018 and sold in 2020. The period of holding is less than 2 years and hence there is a short-term capital gain of rupees 16 lakhs. In the case of short-term capital gain, you cannot enjoy the indexation benefit. After applying the slab rates on the net gain amount, we have got the total tax payable amount of rupees 3.04 lakhs. If my NRI friend have to just contribute this amount towards TDS, it would be okay, but it is not so. Most of the people feels that TDS is 1%, but please remember that 1% TDS is under section 194 IA on the value exceeding 50 lakhs rupees. But please remember that is not the case in the case of NRI. In case of NRI, TDS is applicable under section 195. Even current COVID relief of 25% is not applicable in the case of section 195. Now let's look at the TDS applicable through this rate chart for the financial year 2021. In the case of long term, it varies from 20.8% to 28.5% depending on the sale value of the property, whereas in the case of short term capital gain, it varies from 31.2% to 42.74%. Important point to note here is that the TDS is applicable on the total sale value and not on the capital gain value. Let's look at the TDS quantum and refund in both the cases of long term and short term capital gain. Though the total LTCG is merely 5.16 lakhs, but the irony is that the TDS amount comes to 16.01 lakhs, which is resulting in a total refund of rupees 10.84 lakhs. In case of STCG also, means short-term capital gain also, there is a huge refund of rupees 20.98 lakhs due to huge TDS deduction. Is there a way to reduce TDS liability? Yes, there are ways to reduce TDS liability. The seller can apply for lower TDS deduction under Section 197 of the Income Tax Act, but the whole process is online now. I would advise both buyer and seller to engage one chartered accountant to help obtaining lower TDS, as the process is quite cumbersome. Whether anyone can do so, the answer could be yes. But if you engage CA who is expert in NRI taxation, you may save a lot of time. You should surely ask him when did he last time obtain lower TDS certificate, so as to get an idea whether he can really do it faster or not. Again, the question arises, at what stage you need to engage? The question would be, as soon as you wish to sell your property and about to get token advance, engage an expert CA. Though the whole process is online, the application also need to be filed online, but I would just highlight the role of CA in the whole process. The first step would be to transfer of PAN from your local jurisdiction to international jurisdiction. He will have to make two applications, one application to the AO having the current jurisdiction over the PAN to migrate the same to new AO. That means from local jurisdiction, the PAN need to be migrated to international jurisdiction. The whole process of PAN transfer may take up to 15 days time. In the second step, he will have to apply for 10 of the buyer. Don't get confused with the PAN and 10. PAN is the permanent account number and 10 is the tax deduction collection account number. The buyer cannot deduct tax and remit unless he has the 10. The 10 is mandatory even if the computation says it is a nil. The third step would involve collection and submission of lot of documents. There are a lot of documents required. Few documents have been highlighted here, but the list will be depending on each property. For example, if the property is purchased before 1st April 2001, valuation report is also required. The valuation can be obtained from a chartered engineer, architect, or the guideline value documents can be obtained from the local jurisdictional sub-registrar office. The fourth step is to file Form 13 online in traces. In this step, we have to submit computation in support of nil or lower TDS, upload relevant info and submit all the corrected documents. This is a very critical process. This application has to be submitted by the seller. In case the property is owned jointly, each of the seller has to submit separate application and there is no provision of filing joint application. If the property is owned jointly with the resident Indian, the application need to be filed only in the case of NRI, as TDS in the case of resident Indian would be 194 IA. So whatever consideration is payable to resident Indian, on that 1% TDS will be applicable under section 194 IA. This whole process is very time consuming. Delay in documentation may lead to your deal cancellation. Hence be very careful, as the whole process may take close to about 2 to 3 months of time depending on the documentation and the professionals which you have engaged. The fifth step is to obtain lower or nil TDS certificate. After obtaining it, please ensure that the copy of the same is provided to the buyer and to the bank. Bank will then transfer the money to your NRO account towards the consideration. The sixth step is to file TDS return in Form 27Q for the buyer in his TIN number, which was obtained in the previous steps. At times, people used to forget filing of TDS return, but your CA will take care of it if both the party has engaged same chartered accountant. TDS filing is actually mandatory under any circumstances. The seventh step, in case you wish to repatriate this money abroad, you will have to obtain a certificate from a chartered accountant in Form 15CB, which is also required to be submitted online. Fill and upload Form 15CA in Income Tax Department's website. After submitting it online, take printout of 15CA and 15CB, submit it to your bank, and then your bank will remit the fund abroad. In case you wish to invest in residential house property or bonds to avail exemptions of LTCG under under section 54, there are a lot of options available which I will try to cover in my next video. That's all friend in this video. In case you wish to receive notifications of future videos, please don't forget to press bell icon and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. See you in my next video. Thank you.